Every business has ups and downs. It doesn't matter what business you're in. So I was doing group coaching yesterday, and and the one that we talked about yesterday was ebbs and flows of business, understanding your ebbs and your flows of your business, understanding when it's busy, when it's not busy, and how to maximize those opportunities when it isn't busy. So that was the big push yesterday, was that understanding that, because we all have different things in our business that we have slow times, busy times, and how do we make those better? We all have those, and I know, Chad, yours is just building yours up to where it's getting really big. Because eventually, Chad, you guys are just going to blow up. Then you're not going to be able to have a job.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps saying. So I'm waiting for that day.
Right. You're waiting for that day, right? But look, The day only comes if you keep going, but the day never comes if you stop.
That's right.
I mean, seriously, that is the biggest thing that I see with every single person is not going as fast as they want it to go. So therefore they stop, and then it just stops, and then they don't ever get any further. They forget that you still need to keep going in order for it to actually work.
Yeah, got to keep pushing.
Man, that is the biggest challenge for anybody in business. And I listened to a great video the other day, and we'll get started here in just 1 second, guys. We're just waiting for a few more people to show up. But I did listen to a video, and they talked about it was a lot harder than we thought it was going to be, is what they said. Yeah. And I'm like, gosh, isn't that the truth? There is so much truth in it, because we don't realize how hard something's going to be until we actually start doing it. And then we realize, hey, this is going to be pretty tough. And that's the hardest part. The biggest thing, I think, for myself, for anybody that I've ever seen, is just getting people to show up. Getting people to show up and do the work every single day is the biggest challenge I think most people actually have. And then learning how to create connections. And so we're going to go over all those fun things today, though, for sure. So we're going to give it 3 minutes to 1:05 till everybody, and then we're just going to get started. And then those who are here, we're just going to serve you guys. We're going to go for 1 hour. We'll go to about 2 o'clock. We'll do Q&A. I have a list that I always have. I always have a list of things to go through. But each thing that I teach is the same thing I teach anybody I do work with as far as a client. I'm going to teach you the same thing. Jeremy, what you're going to hear today, you probably already heard 100 times. But you're going to hear it again. We're going to drill it into your head, but we're going to put it in there.
Sweet.
So who do we have your HFX cleared? Would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
My name is Rio McGee.
Oh, hey, Rio. How are you? So nice to have you here, buddy. We're so glad you're here.
Glad to be here. Thank you, buddy.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So we got 2 more minutes to go before we get started. Does anybody have any wins for the day, for your business, for your life? Anything gone good today? Anything gone bad today? So tell me a little bit about your life. So someone just jump in and go.
We will not have a slow period this year. We are booked until probably the middle of January right now, which is the slow period time. So we're excited.
Dude, put it up there, baby.
That's a win.
Put it up there. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Right. Big win.
Dude, I mean, that's like a high five and a high five and a high five and then a knuckle and a knuckle.
Hey, we owe it to you. I mean, we hired you, and that's what it became of it.
You don't owe it to me. You owe it to yourself because you did the work. There's a difference. You gotta realize I've worked with people for months and months and months, and then 5-6 months down the road, they're still the exact same place they were. You know why? They're in the same place. They never did anything with what they started. They just stopped. And well, we know for a fact, if you just stop, you're not going to go. You lose momentum. So they say that you lose around 10% momentum every single month that you're not doing something to keep the ball moving forward. All you two did was you actually did it. But now the biggest thing is, what are you going to continue to do to continue to make it happen?
Keep chugging at it. I got my goals. I got my list. I always keep them in front of me now.
Dude, so you realize that list of goals in front of you every day is the number one reason you'll succeed, because what you're aware of is what you'll act on. What you're not aware of is what your subconscious will say, well, we're just going to stay comfortable and not do anything and move the needle forward. We're always afraid of doing something that's different because it's uncomfortable and it's scary or it seems scary. But at the end of the day, it's our job to always push beyond our own fears. So I would say it's like this. So imagine this. Let me see if I can get a piece of paper. This is you. My finger is you. This is on the other side of this piece of paper is where you want to go. But this is you. This is a fear. So a fear barrier is you're always pushing and pushing. It's bending until you finally break through. But it takes a lot of courage to break through something that you're a fear barrier of something you don't know what to expect on the other side. That's the hardest part, is you're going to do something you've never done before, and it's going to challenge you in ways you've never been challenged. but you don't know what's on the other side. So I came up with my own acronym for the word fear one day. My acronym for the word fear is freedom equals accelerated results. When you break through that barrier, you have now found new freedom. So think about that. When you're pushing really hard against something, what happens when it finally breaks through? It's like you pulling that arrow back, you're pulling it back, and then when you let it go, finally, when it's free, dude, it just accelerates. So fear is freedom equals accelerated results. Because if you can just break through all the barriers that you have, it is one of the coolest things you'll ever do. It'll change your life forever. All right, so all right, guys, it's 1:06. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I have a list. I'll go. Now, if I talk too fast, you got to raise your hand and tell me to slow down because I get excited. I talk way faster than most people. And Chad, I think you know this about me. And Gary, if I talk too fast, just slow down because I have to tell myself to slow down every day. As I tell my wife, she said, "You talk too fast." I said, "No, everybody just thinks too slow," is what they do. So, my poor wife, she has to live with me every day. But I have a very high speed that I go, so I'll try to keep it slower to where everybody can understand. But also, this is recorded, so everybody at the end of this, we're going to send you the recording. We're also going to send you my ebook on the ultimate guide to starting your first service business. We're going to send you that book, and that's a great book, step by step, for everything that you need. It's free, and we're also going to send you some additional resources that I think would help you grow your business to really set your business apart from everybody else's. The goal is to become good at what you do and then become great at what you do and really go from good to great. Let me clear out some things so I don't have distractions here. I had to lock my door because people walk in my office all the time. I'm like, why? This is my office. Okay. All right, guys. So let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Eric Rios. If you don't know me, I have been in the trades for 35 years. I've owned 5 different service companies. I've written 3 different books. I wrote a book called Built to Succeed. I wrote a book called The Secret. There you go. If you need some marriage help, I mean, I'm not a good counselor, but I can surely show you some good things that you can and can't do. Treat your marriage like a business. Your marriage will always be good. So I've written that book as well. And of course, I've written the ebook, the ultimate guide to starting your first service business. I have done this for a long time. I've built 2 businesses to 7 figures a year in less than 4 years. I've sold all my businesses minus 1. This is what I do every single day. Being in business is what's so important to me because I feel like one thing, it gives you the freedom to live your life on your terms versus you have to live your life on somebody else's terms. And that's why we all went into business, was to find freedom of choice, freedom of life, and a little more money. Now, sometimes you may not make all the money you want, but guess what? You don't have to ask for that day off. When you say, hey, I'm going to go take my kids to the zoo today, you don't have to call the boss and say, hey, can I have the day off? So you don't do that. So the idea of what we do here is because we're creating lives that we love, that we get to choose those lives every single day. That's the best part about this as far as what we do. All right, so let's get going. We're going to talk about 3 things today, just 3. Lead generation, maximizing profits, and then talent acquisition. So hiring the right talent is huge. Hiring the right talent is going to make the biggest difference in the world. Finding the maximizing profits on every single job that you go to is key for your long-term success, considering how much it costs to generate a lead. And then lead generation. So the number one problem I see with most people is this, is they don't implement what they should already be doing. So therefore they stay stuck with where they are. We typically know what we should do. So the question lies in, why don't we do it? If you were to ask them, did you do this? And they're going to say, no. I'm like, well, why didn't you do it? Oh, I don't know. I got distracted. So we always talk about distractions. Distractions are the number one thing that keep you from doing what you should do and implementing the things you should implement in your business and in your life in general. Minimizing distractions is the number one way to keep going and keep the ball moving forward at all times. This is really important. So lack of simple implementation is your number one problem that everybody seems to have. There was a great book written by a guy named Howard Partridge called Failure to Implement. And because that is the number one thing. If you don't implement, you're never going to get anywhere. So you heard Jeremy say, we have done this. We're booked through the middle of January. In the slow months, they're already booked. Now imagine what they're going to be like in the busy months if they just keep this thing going. The momentum's got to keep going. So the idea of this is that you implement everything that you learn and everything that's important to do. We're going to tell a story real quick. The story is the story of the fly. Has anybody ever heard the story about the fly hitting the window? He's trying so hard to get out of a window. He just keeps flying, hits the wind. He is going to break his neck, kill himself trying to get through a window. So my wife today, she works for a large corporation. And she was sharing with me her challenges. She said, I've been on this spreadsheet all night, all day, and I cannot figure out this problem. I said, so you're the fly. That's what I told her. I said, you're just like the fly. You're beating your head against the wall. I said, so why don't you just ask somebody for help? And she goes, well, I thought about that. I'm like, no, don't think about it. Go do it. Go ask. What if they could solve your problem in 5 minutes versus you spending hours and hours and hours and hours on doing something? So implement a new procedure and a new process and how you do business and how you do life. And your life can just like that be way better. I said, so stop being like the fly and beating your head against the wall for something that you can't solve, and ask someone who maybe has a different perspective of what you're trying to do. And just like that, it can change your life and reduce your stress levels. Don't be like the fly and keep trying something that's so hard and then you not get anywhere, because at that point, it doesn't make any sense. Your job is to look for a different perspective as to how you can do things. Because when you do that, your implementation aspect of it is way easier to do, because now you're doing things you should be doing. You're doing things that actually move the needle forward versus not trying to. Think of if you're trying to lift something really heavy, you can't lift it. But if you get a long pole, which creates a big fulcrum, now you can lift it very easily. That's the point of asking for help when you need help, asking, how do I implement something in a better way? Because most of our reasons for failing to implement is that we don't have a way to implement them. So therefore we don't know what to do. So we get paralyzed with not knowing what to do. But in most cases, we always know what to do. All right, let's keep this going here. Okay. Number one rule to this is this. What we're talking about lead generation now. Is when I think of lead generation, I think of there's two kinds of leads. There are organic leads and there are paid leads. Organic leads are going to be those kinds of leads that you're going to get from SEO, social media, things like that. They're all organic referrals, repeats. Those are all your organic leads. These are all really important. Then we have our paid leads. So me as a contractor who's worked in the business for a long time, is I have spent probably several $1 million just on advertising over all the years I've been in business, in the businesses that I've owned. The one thing I learned that was the most important thing I ever learned was this, is you never sign a contract for advertising with an advertising company. I mean, if you spend money on ads, you realize that as soon as you sign that contract, guess what? They own you. They own you for a year. They own you for 2 years. One of my clients, he was spending $40,000 a year just for his website. He didn't realize what he was getting himself into. It was a contract. He could not get out of it. And then when he wanted to change a budget for the marketing that they were doing, he said, let's change this. They secretly got him to sign another 12-month extended contract to what he was already on. Contracts kill you financially. Make them earn your business. If you're going to buy leads, I don't care who you buy them from. If you're going to do it, it's always a month-to-month plan where you can get out. Years ago, I used to be on billboards. I used to be on benches. I used to be in phone books, and everything we did for years was a contract. That's all they did. They didn't have the programs that they have now. But the problem I had was the billboard cost me $25,000 a year for the billboard, but we generated only $18,000 off of what we could figure out from the billboard, because we tracked every single call and we had a tracking number on the billboard and on the benches. So the point of that is, we knew if we could have got out of that billboard, because we were looking for business today, not branding our business. Branding your business is going to be very different from looking for leads today, direct response leads. That's going to be very different. But the billboard cost me a lot of money. The benches cost me a lot of money. And there was nothing I could do about it except for eat that money every month, eat that money every month, because I was in a contractual agreement where I could not get out of it no matter what I did. So my number one rule to this is never sign a contract for advertising, no matter what you do. Your job is to generate leads that are direct response leads, that if you're a need-based business where they call you right now for a need, they need a need solved, a problem solved. And when a problem solved, money exchanges hands. So don't sign a contract. I just drive that into every one of my clients. Don't do it, because I know what it's like to sign those, and you're stuck paying something that may or may not work. And if it doesn't work, you can't get out of it. All right. So number two is this. The quickest way to go broke is to not have a system to handle the leads that come into your business. Not have a system to handle the leads that come into your business. How are you going to manage leads that come into your business consistently? The number one thing that I see are people paying for advertising, and they have no way to manage how the calls are taken, who's taking the calls. The calls are just missed. So if you're a need-based business, let's say a carpet cleaner, you're a construction guy, you're a plumber, you're a property manager, you're different things in your business. And if you don't have a way to answer your phone to manage that lead that comes in, guess what you've done? That lead cost you money and you just lost money. So I use this number as a round number because I know that leads can cost a lot of money. So in the trades, we know leads can cost anywhere between $30 and $150 just for one single phone call, one single lead that goes just to you by itself. It's a lead. So now let's say the lead costs $50 per lead, and you miss two calls. You miss 2 calls in a day. You have no way to manage how your phone is answered because you're doing the jobs, you're out on the jobs, or you've never really trained yourself to how to deal with these or train somebody else to do this. 2 calls a day, that's $100 a day. That's $500 a week, $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year that you just gave away because you didn't answer your phone, or you didn't have a way for someone to manage answering your phone. So the importance and the value of this is put together a system today in how you're going to have all your phones answered. If you can't answer them, get an answering service who will answer them, because what happens as soon as they call you and you don't answer, they roll to the next person. Then they roll to the next person. I talked to a real estate guy today. He's looking at buying a 28 unit apartment complex in one of the local cities where I live. He told me, he said, ask the lady, she said, I've had 50 people actually reach out to me, but not one has followed up except for you. Only one person followed up, and that was him. He was the only person who followed up with Lily. He said, that's why I called you back and nobody else, because I've called all these people back and none of them answered their phones. She said, but you followed up, and therefore I'm going to give you the chance to buy this complex. So 51 people, 50 of them would not answer the phones when she was trying to call them back. They all reached out. They showed an interest, but they wouldn't follow up continually. So the point of this is have a system in place that allows you to answer your phone, continue. Now, if you looked at, now let's look at this. What's the value of a customer? The value is you get a lead, but what's the value of a customer? Let's say the value of a customer, let's say it's $500 per customer. Let's just say that's what you're going to get. Your initial transaction is going to give you $500 in income from that customer. Now, let's say you missed those 2 calls a day. We know that's $100 a day. Now, if we missed 2 calls a day, we lost potentially $1,000 a day in income per day. That is missing 2 calls, 5 days a week. Now we're at $240,000 a year. We just lost in potential income, all because we did not answer our phone twice in a day. So they went to somebody else. Now, granted, that's potential income, but now if we were to spread that over a lifetime value of what you can generate from a client, sometimes the lifetime value, depending on the client, can be in the tens of thousands of dollars, depends on the kind of client you are. I know on carpet cleaning, you can have every single year come back over and over and over and over. Tile cleaning the same way. You know, Chad will tell you he's at the beach, and tile cleaning is one of the biggest things you're going to do at the beach because everybody has tile at the beach. Floor cleaning is a huge thing. It's a repeat over and over and over. So when you look at the lifetime value, having a plan in place to answer your phones and how you're going to answer your phones is so important. One of my clients the other day told me, he said, Eric, I had a gal answer my phone who worked in our office. We loved her to death, but she was killing our business because she did not know how to properly answer the phone and deal with a client. So my number one rule to that is, well, that's your fault. If your staff doesn't know how to do it, that's 100% your fault. It's 100% on you. You can't blame anybody else but yourself. So what he did was he learned to train her on how to answer the phone better because they were losing call after call after call. But in where he lives, those calls were costing him $100 plus. Now, Gary, remind me, Gary, because I've got a great company market advertising just for carpet cleaning who's really, really, really good at just doing carpet cleaning. That's what they specialize in. And they're really cheap and they generate a ton of leads. So I'll make sure I get you that information, Gary, today at the end of this call. I'll email that over to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Let me just write that down because I'm always thinking about how I can give you the best value in this. Okay, so realizing this, you should put a system in place on how to answer the phone. And if you have someone who can answer the phone, make sure they're trained on how to answer the phone correctly. We always thank them for calling. Why? Because they're who pays our bills. They're who generate an income for us. We don't make any money. They give us money and we solve a problem for them. That's the way this works. Money exchanges hands when problems are solved. That's the number one thing. Make sure you train them every single week. Listen to them, pay attention to them, and help them become better. That is your job as a leader. All right, here we go. We're going to keep this going. Now, make sure you understand who your customer is as well. Don't just market to any customer. because not everybody is your customer. You may not want to work in a certain area. So if you're ever going to buy leads, do leads, you're going to create a website, you're going to create things. You don't want to be doing something in areas you don't want to work in, or clientele who doesn't fit what you charge. You may be an expensive person. I've seen them where they're high, I've seen them where they're low, I've seen them, but it doesn't matter. The point is know who your customer is for generating leads. Is what demographic do they live in? What kind of, what's their age? What kind of money do they make? What do they pay? Is it a 2-income household? Do they drive 2 cars? Do they drive 1 car? Is it, all these things make a difference when you start thinking about your client and how you're going to market to those people. You don't want to market to a low-income area if that's not what you want. You don't want to market to a high-income area if that's not what you want. Everybody's going to be different. You don't want to market to someone who does, like Chad, he owns a property management company at the beach. So if you guys ever want to go to Panama City Beach, Chad is the only guy I would ever refer for property management and getting you where you need to stay for whatever you need. But the point is, Chad does not want to focus on California. Well, that wouldn't be his customer. That would be silly. You have to focus on who your customer is and where your customer lives to get the best solutions for what you're wanting to do. So know your customer. So just remember, answer your call. Understand how you answer your call. Dispatch your calls appropriately for whatever you're doing. Make sure you understand the right person going out to bid a job, estimate a problem, solve a problem for them. You dispatch for profit. It's always for profit is what it's for. I tell businesses every time, you're not a charity. You can be charitable, but you are a business to make money, to make a profit. That's the number one thing. You are in business to make money and to make a profit. All right, so now we're just going to talk about what kind of marketing we do for lead generation. I got to watch my time here. Lead generation, we do direct response marketing. Direct response marketing, we're going to have 5 different things or 6 different things we're going to talk about. SEO website. Now, if you don't have a website, I would suggest getting a website and make sure it's SEO optimized as well, because an SEO optimized website is going to show up on Google. It's going to show up on Bing. It's going to show up in all the areas you need it to show up if it's optimized. Now, how do you optimize a website? I pay someone to do it because there are companies who are really good at this. I always say, stick to what you're good at. Now, when I first went into business, my first 2-3 times, I always built my own first websites. And I can tell you they were okay. They worked for the time, but I needed to be better as I grew. As I grew, I was able to generate way more income because I looked way more professional as far as that goes. Getting a website does not have to be expensive. You don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars. Jeremy and Justin can tell you, you don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a great website. They have a phenomenal website for what their business is, and they pay a low price every single month. All my other clients are the same way. Once again, I have a client who does $40,000 a year for a website for the exact same thing these guys are paying $3,000 a year for, which is insane. It's a $37,000 a year difference, all because he did not know. That was the only problem, is he did not know. So you want to make sure your website is SEO optimized on a monthly basis, and you want to get your website listed on as many sites as possible. Now, there's a site that I found that is, now you can pay to have these listed on every site, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't pay the money that they want you to do, because so there's all the directories you can list your website and your company information on. That's going to require a little work on your part, but I have a link to this, and I'm going to send everybody this link to that. You can list your company name, your website, your information on, I think there's 50 different places you can list it online to where it's in your they're all local area sites for every single area, every single state, every single city. But it's pretty good. And you can just pick and choose the ones you want to put them on. The idea is to show up organically everywhere you possibly can, where it doesn't cost you money to run ads. Now, your SEO is only maybe costing you the cost of a website. I pay for a website where the guy I pay $100 a month for, but mine's different. I'm not using it for that purpose as Jeremy and Justin are using it. They're more in the trades and construction. The point of what we're doing here is make sure that whatever you're doing, you get it listed in as many places as possible, because that's going to help you grow your business exponentially, and more people are going to see it. More eyes on you, the better you're going to be. You know why people don't do business with you 9 times out of 10 is because they don't know you exist. That's it. No other reason. They just don't know you exist. Do you know that 67% of people who buy a house choose the first real estate agent they talk to? So that's a big number. So it's important that you make sure people know you exist so you can actually start making money. But if they don't know you exist, they're never going to call you. That's the number one thing. I had a client, love him to death. 17 years in business, had 1 review on Google out of 17 years. He didn't realize that. He didn't realize how important and how valuable that was. So we got him to work on a new program, on a new project. And just like that, his reviews, boom, 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 are going up exponentially. It's a big deal in your business to get these kind of reviews as well. Part of that Part of your SEO is getting these reviews. People are going to look at this. You don't want to spend money on ads if you don't have to spend money on ads. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Don't do it if you can do better things that create the business without doing it. All right, so we're going to keep going here. Guerrilla marketing. So when I first went into business, like every one of you, we had to do what? We had to figure out a way to generate business because we didn't have any money to spend on business. We didn't have any money to spend on ads. We had zero money to spend on ads. When I first started, I started my first company with I bought a $5,000 van. I had a $10,000 credit card, and that's it. And I'm like, I had to figure this shit out. I had to figure it out on my own very quickly. Like, what do I do? How do I generate business? And I did it all through guerrilla marketing. If you notice behind me in my video, I've got books. I've probably got 1,000 books in my office. I'm an avid book reader, but I'm an avid learner on how to be better every single day at what I do, because I want to be able to provide you great values, and that's why I continue to learn. But doing guerrilla marketing, it's really important to understand what that is. So one of those things is like vehicle wraps. Vehicle wraps is a great thing. If you have a vehicle that you've got wrapped already, if you got signage on it, one of my first big clients I ever got was off of a magnet that I had on the side of a regular 4-door car sitting at an office next. The guy says, "Hey, I own a construction company. I need some help." Boom. Just like we had a client for 7 years, just like that. All because I did something just a little bit different. That's called guerrilla marketing. Now, when you think of guerrilla marketing, let's say you have a van that's wrapped, or you have a car that's wrapped, or you have something that's showcasing your business. Your number one job is to do this. Your job is to park that on a busy street, park that on a busy corner, park it somewhere where everybody can see it all at one time. You got 10,000 cars driving by, and just like that, everybody sees your business. That's so they're looking, oh, look, who are they? And if you do that one day a week, let's say you go to the office every morning at 8 o'clock, get there at 7 o'clock and park your van out somewhere from 7 to 7:30, and then go get your van and then bring it back, or your car, or whatever thing you have. Always be marketing your business through simple things just like that. Yard signs. Yard signs are pretty inexpensive to get, but yard signs can be picked up and they can cost you money. But yard signs are another good way to guerrilla market. Just simply, your job is to market your business and with the lowest amount of money that you possibly can to generate the highest revenue and the highest profits. So email. How many people do emails? So we know that 67% of people stop doing business with you because they never hear from you again. So if we know that almost 70% of people will never do business with you because they never hear from you again, that's a big number to be concerned about. That's a really big number to be thinking about. So what's the quickest way to make sure we're in front of them? And the least expensive way, that's through email. Email marketing is the cheapest way to go. Every person you talk to, you should be getting their email. You should be getting their email, because once a month, you're going to send them an email. You're going to make sure you stay in front of them. You're going to make sure you do everything you can to stay in front of these people, because that's going to allow your business to continue to grow. Because remember, what they're aware of and who they're aware of is who they tend to work for and act with. But what they're not aware of, what they never hear from again, they forget about you and they never go anywhere. All right, so let's keep this going here. We have cold calls. Call your existing client base. If you have existing clients, call them. If you have clients you want to work with, call them. Go out of your way to call them. I have a list of 6,000 companies on my computer that we're going through right now to call. 6,000 cold calls, all to generate new business, to solve new problems. Our goal is to solve as many problems as we possibly can for that client. But we have 6,000 different names, phone numbers, addresses, all these different businesses who do between $200,000 to $1 million a year in gross revenue. So we knew that that's what our target market was, because we want to help them grow into the 7-figure mark and more is what we want to do. Cold calls, friends, family, neighbors. So how many of you actually text all your friends, all your family, say, "Hey, would you mind sharing my business with other people in your circle?" Most people, they don't do it. So remember, we talked about this, people don't do what they should do. This is a simple way to get more business, is just simply to send a text out to your entire group on your phone and say, "Would you mind sharing my website, sharing my business, sharing what we do?" Because people do business with what? People they know, they like, and they trust. So if someone trusts you, they're going to trust the person you do business with 9 times out of 10. They're going to trust you. I know for a fact, by owning a carpet cleaning company, that people loved us because we got referrals. So that's the next one, is get referrals. How are you getting referrals for those businesses? When you go to someplace, you should ask for referrals. Every client you do business with, you should be asking for referrals. Who do you know? So I told a guy today, I said, look, you get 100% of what you don't ask for in life. If you don't ask, you can't have. That's the bottom line. Your number one job is to ask. What's the worst thing they do is say no? But if they say no, that's just an opportunity to present it a different way to get a yes. And then if they say no again, that's just another opportunity to present a different way to get a yes again. Your job is to never take no as an answer and to realize you're always buying future money. So the whole point of referrals is this, is that we're buying future money. We're making a 5-star experience. We're making a 5-star, powerful experience for every client transaction that we have. And at that point, you're going to focus on one thing, getting referrals and getting repeat business. Referrals and repeat are the number one things. We've worked in over 23,000 homes in the businesses that I've, and just 2 of my businesses in over 23,000 homes. The number one thing we always strove for was getting referrals and repeat business, because when I got referrals and repeat business, guess what it did to my marketing cost? It dropped exponentially. Because if I'm getting repeats and referrals, but how do you do that? You stay in front of them. Part of guerrilla marketing, people say, well, I need leads, I need leads, I need leads. Well, great. If you need leads, start calling your existing customers. If they spend money once, guess what they'll do? They'll spend money twice. In almost all cases, if they spend money once, they're going to spend money twice if you make it a positive, powerful experience. But if it's just transactional, you're probably not going to get them. So we always say this, there's two impressions every person makes. The first impression decides whether they do business with you. That's what they do. The first impression you make is making them make a decision. Do I want to do business with this person or not? That's the first. And then when they do business with you, you get to leave them with one more impression. It's the impression you leave them with when you end that transaction decides whether they ever call you back or refer you to somebody else. Referrals cost you nothing to ask for. Being great at what you do costs you nothing except for just your time and a simple awareness of making sure that you do what you need to do to make it a positive, powerful experience. Now, Chad will tell you, Chad and I both own condos right next door to each other in Panama City Beach. He'll tell you that when you hire cleaners to come clean your condos, to clean your apartments, to clean your houses, you might get some really, really, really bad ones who don't care. Chad will tell you, he knows. He knows for a fact. I mean, I know for a fact. I mean, sometimes they don't make any effort to be great at what they do. They just come in there just to do a job. And that all falls on a leadership role. When you think about, if you have a staff coming out to do a job for you, your staff is going out to do a job for somebody else. It doesn't matter what job it is, what it is. Your number one priority is to make sure they've been trained to do exactly what you want them to do in the way you want it done. You can't accept a half-assed job on any given day. Your job is to create such a powerful experience that they always call you back. So my son, Josh, he owns a junk removal company. Every review he has on Google, which is over 100 now, in less than a year, are all 100% 5-star reviews. He makes it such an amazing experience for his clients that they only want to give him a 5-star review, and then he keeps growing his business. Boom. They keep calling him back. They keep referring him to somebody else. That's the idea of guerrilla marketing. Be so good at what you do that they want to refer you, but also email, text, call all your friends, all your family, all your neighbors, everybody that you know, and say, would you mind sharing my business with other people? Would you mind sharing my business with your friends and your family? I need to grow my business. And if you ever go into business, I'll do the same for you. We always scratch each other's back when it comes to business. That's the number one thing. At least ask. Remember this? We'll say it again. You get 100% of what you don't ask for. You want more out of life, you better ask for more out of life, because you're never going to get any more than what you ask for. That's the number one thing. Ask for what you want. Guerrilla marketing is the simplest way to grow your business that doesn't cost you money. Now, we're going to talk about things that actually cost you money. I mean, it's just going to be the way it is. Also, guerrilla marketing is posting on social media. So social media, what does it cost you? It doesn't cost you anything to be on Facebook. It doesn't cost you anything to be on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, or all these other things that you guys do or people do. It doesn't cost you anything to be on any one of these places except for just a few minutes of your time to create a post. Jeremy will tell you that I wrote them about making sure you create posts all the time. Am I right, Jeremy?
Yep, absolutely.
It was always important that you're always creating posts, because the idea is you're driving business to you, but you're also making sure more people see who you are. Your goal is to make sure people know who you are so they can make a choice of doing business with you. But if you're going to post on your social media, don't look like a moron. Make it look professional. Make it, don't be out there with a bunch of beers and shotguns. And look, that's all fine and dandy. But when it comes to business, your job is to generate a client. Your job is to generate a customer who's going to pay you money. You want to make sure your social media is clean. It doesn't look stupid. It doesn't look bad, because unless it's what you want to be and how you want to do it. But I'm telling you what works. If your social media looks good and they see you regularly on a regular basis, they're going to want to call you to do business with you. It makes all the difference in the world. Every business is going to be different how you market it on social media. Like I would never market a plumbing company on social media because plumbing services are need-based services 9 times out of 10. Carpet cleaning is more want-based services. I would market that on social media all day long because social media is great for carpet cleaning. But I never found it to be plumbing, HVAC, because people don't typically go to Facebook to look for a certain kind of thing. Property manager, I'm going to social media. They're property managers everywhere. People buying homes, buying rentals, buying things that they can, and they need help with doing those things. And Chad, remind me, I got a guy I want to send you to who I sold my condo to. So I want to send you this guy. He's buying my condo right now. So just remind me to make sure I send this guy to you to get that done. We're just waiting on the closing to happen.
Cool.
So guys, the point here is this, is utilize the tools that are in front of you that cost you no money. If you don't utilize the tools that cost you no money, all you're doing is cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself out of an opportunity, and also you're cheating everybody else. If you're really that good at what you do and you are that person they should do business with, shouldn't you be letting the whole world know, hey, I am the one you should call? Well, I think you should. It really makes a big difference. All right, so we're going to keep this going here, guys. So we talked about guerrilla marketing, your SEO website, your guerrilla marketing, which is basically your vehicle wraps, yard signs, email, cold calls, friends, family, neighbors, door-to-door, flyers, parking lots, magnets on cars, asking for referrals. All these things are great, and they all work. And they don't cost you anything. Cost you very little money. Business cards are great too. Social media, we have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a good one. So Gary, if you're not using Nextdoor, I would suggest get on Nextdoor and start using Nextdoor. Learn how to use Nextdoor. It's a phenomenal tool for growing your business, especially for a service-based business of any kind. Chad, the same way. Nextdoor is a great place to get in front of all these neighborhoods where people are buying and doing different things. It makes a big difference to grow your business. Okay, so we're going to go to paid advertising. Paid advertising, remember the first thing we said is don't sign a contract. Let me grab a drink of water because my mouth never stops. As my wife says, you never stop talking. So paid advertising, we said never sign a contract. Why do we not sign a contract? Because if it doesn't work, you can't get out of it. You want to always be able to control your paid advertising. You always want to track your paid advertising. If you're doing paid ads, you want to be able to track every single phone call that comes in from that specific ad source, so you know whether that ad source is working or not working. You need to have a way to track that, and we'll send you a link and a way for you can track that through. You can buy phone numbers for dirt cheap that you can listen to all the recordings, and you can see, am I doing good? Am I doing bad? Is it good or is it bad? All the pay-per-call lead services that we suggest to people, they all have their own platforms where you can listen to your own phone calls, see, was it a good call? Was it a bad call? If it wasn't a good lead, then you can just dispute it, and then they'll give you your credit for the lead, so you're not charged for that lead. This is why I like this. But what I also like about all the pay-per-call lead services is this. We can turn them on. We can turn them off. We can turn them up. We can turn them down. Because if you're busy and you can't handle calls, you don't want to be taking leads you can't handle calls for. It makes no sense at all for you to be taking calls that you can't handle or that you're going to have to miss because you're still paying for those on these paid advertising programs. Make sure that you understand these, how to pay attention to them, how to track them, and how to understand your dashboard in each different program. We suggest around 8 different places for people to go to buy leads from. Leads can cost anywhere from $20 to $100. It depends on the kind of lead you are, where you are, what geographical area. It's always different for every single area. But I guarantee one thing, they work because you're only buying a lead that's actually a real lead. You're not buying a fictitious lead. And if it's a solicitor, guess what? They don't charge you for the lead. They don't charge you for those things. If it's the wrong number, they don't charge you for it. They call their other plumbing a different company, they don't charge you for it. That's why I love it so much, is because you control the flow of your marketing 100%. You can, like I said, you can turn it up, turn it down, turn it off, turn it on. Because when you just slam, let's just turn them off for a week or two. Boom. Why pay for leads you can't run? It makes no sense at all. Just enjoy the organic leads that come in from everything else that you're doing. All right, so pay-per-click programs. Pay-per-click is going to be like your Google, your Bing. I mean, we used to spend $15,000 a month just on Google pay-per-click. Pay-per-click can be good and it can be bad. This is why we're going to talk about the next section of this here in just a minute on maximizing your calls. Because if you spend a lot of money on a lead, you better learn how to maximize every single call to make sure it's worth your while. Let's say it costs you $100 to acquire a client. Let's say it costs you $200 to acquire a client. You walk into that client's house. How are you going to make that money back knowing that it just cost you $200 or $100 to acquire that client? You have to learn to maximize what you do. And we're going to talk about it here in just a second here. So then you have Google local service ads, your Google guaranteed ads. Those are pay-per calls. You can usually get those for pretty cheap. You're going to set that up yourself. You can go to Google. You can, once you get your Google My Business page going, you'll sign up for Google, say that really fast 10 times. Google local service ads, your guaranteed ads. And at that point, you're going to have a dashboard and you're going to set your budget, whether it be a weekly budget or a daily budget for those ads. Google wants to make money off of you all day long, but they're going to send you leads. And your job still is to do one thing, is at the end of every single day, go to that actual platform, that dashboard, and make sure you're listening to those calls, because on those, you can still get a credit if they're not actual calls that were legitimate leads. They'll still give you a credit for those. But it's the simplest, fastest way to get leads. We have clients who use Google Local Service Ad, they use Results, they use eLocal, they use other different places that generate leads for service-based businesses. Just like that, they're making money because they're getting the leads, but you have to track them. The biggest thing here is this, is when you pay money for leads, make sure you understand how to track those leads, how to make the most of every single call that you go to, because that lead costs you money, and you cannot be afraid to call that lead back. You cannot be afraid to have a follow-up process. You have to have a follow-up process in place in order to follow up. Otherwise, if you're not following up, guess what happens? They fall by the wayside. They say it takes around 7 different times to touch someone in order for them to say yes to you. So if we know it'll take 7 times, why are we only doing it once? Why are we only doing, you know, they say the average real estate agent only follows up 1.4 times after they get a lead, only 1.4, knowing that it takes 7 to 14 touches of a client to get that as a client. So, I mean, and I've seen that in business so many times. When someone would call our office or we would get a lead, my officer, well, I called him once. I'm like, good, call him again. Okay, good. Do you really want to call him? Yeah, call him again. Call him again. I said, call him a minimum of 3 times. You text him 3 times and you email him 3 times, all within a 1-hour period. My number one thing is, look, I paid for that lead. I paid a lot of money for that lead. We're going to follow up. We're going to maximize this thing no matter what we do. Then at the end of the day, guess what? We're following up on the lead again. We're following up on the lead again. Until they tell me never to call them back, we're still following up on that lead because we spent money on that lead. It makes a difference. I had a client of mine. He said this. He said, Eric, I got 8 estimates out there right now. I said, when's the last time you followed up with them? I didn't follow up with any of them. He said, I'm like, why didn't you follow up? He goes, well, I was just waiting on them to call me. I said, you never wait on someone to call you. You're a proactive person who creates the opportunity. So you know what he did is he called all 8 of them. He closed 7 out of those 8 jobs, and he owns an HVAC company. What a big difference that is. He followed up and made a lot of money just through simple follow-ups. It makes all the difference in the world. Your follow-up is your number one thing. If you don't follow up, I promise you one thing, you're going to lose money. There's a great book written by, his name is Michael Burt, Coach Michael Burt, called The $1 Million Follow-Up. It's probably only 40 pages. It's a small book, but dude, the book is one of the best books you'll ever read when it comes to following up with clients. Because he said that was my biggest problem is I would reach out to people and they would never follow up with me. He says, so I had to write a book about it, and it's called The $1 Million Follow-Up. And I love the book. I use that book all the time as a guide, as a resource, as a tool. Books are resources and tools, so utilize them. All right, so that's all the paid advertising. I can keep talking about this for hours. I do this every day, hours. But we're going to talk about what's even more important than getting leads. Let's say you get all the leads you want. You know how to get the leads. Now, what do we do to maximize opportunities on every single transaction? So every one of us know what it's like to go to Burger King or McDonald's, and they say, would you like to make that a large? Would you like to add a pie? Would you like to add a dessert? Or you go to a really fancy restaurant, the first thing they want to do is they bring you bread. So you know why they bring you bread? Yeah, I learned this the other day. I thought this was really cool. I'm going to share this. They bring you bread because bread has sugar in it. When you have sugar in something, it lowers your frontal lobes to where it makes you want to have more. It makes you happy. It makes you want to get more. So if you ever notice when you go to a restaurant, how much bread do you typically eat? You keep eating the bread. You keep eating the bread. You keep eating the bread. Texas Roadhouse, bread with sugary cinnamon butter, whatever that is, best thing in the world. But it lowers your frontal lobes where you tend to buy more. So it's a psychology of sales is what they're doing. So when you go to every client that you go to, every client you work with, you have to figure out, how do I maximize what I do? What is it do I need to do to maximize my profits on every single experience that I have with that client? Now, it depends on the business you're in. It's going to depend on how you maximize those calls. We say if you're in a home service-based business, we always say offer a free home inspection. Use a we do more letter. So what's a we do more letter? Justin and Jeremy know what a we do more letter is, don't you? You know exactly what that is. It's so you're telling them exactly all the services that you do. You know how many times you go to a client's house and you're there for X and they think, oh, that's all you do? And then they hire someone else to do Y and Z. But you're like, oh, we do that too. Well, we didn't know that. So the number one thing we teach is this: when you go to anybody's house, you learn to maximize opportunities. Let's say you're a carpet cleaner. You go to a house and you do carpet cleaning, floor cleaning, tile cleaning, shower tile cleaning, grout cleaning. You do all these things. But what if you're only there to clean the carpets? but did you let the client know that you do this tile clean? Did you let the client know that you do grout clean? Did you let the client know that you do additional things? Did you let your client know you can do, water cleanup? The whole idea of this, or freshener on the floor, or all the different things that they do. The point is you can never sell what you don't share. Your job is to share that with the client so you give them the option to tell you yes, give them the option to tell you no. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Everybody has something that some way they can maximize opportunities with every single client. Isn't it your number one goal to make more money on every single job? Why would you want to just go to one job, do a little bit, and then go to another job, do a little bit? What if you could do a lot more in every single job? Even if they say no, that's okay. Your job is still to offer opportunity and things like that. So I know Justin and Jeremy own a construction company. They do decks, fences, handyman services, all these different things that they do. But sometimes they go to a job and they just do a fence. But what the client doesn't know is what they have in their hand right now is called a We Do More letter. They create this We Do More letter. Now, every client they go to, when they're there with the client, they say, hey, Ms. Jones, here, let me go ahead and give you this real quick. While we're looking at this, go ahead and look at all the different services that we offer. And the client is now getting the chance to say, oh, you know what? I need this done, and I need this done, I need this. It's simply one thing. It's a way for them to be able to see something that they already want to do. They just they forgot about it. And now they're like, oh my God, I wanted to get this done. I wanted to get this done. So I had a guy I was talking to this morning. He's out of Salt Lake City, Utah. He said, Eric, I went to a job. He owns a plumbing company. He said, I went there for a PRV, but I left by doing the PRV. I did a shut-off valve. I did a cartridge. I did a toilet. I did all because he offered to do a free home inspection. All the things that the PRV had destroyed, he went and solved for them. We look for the whys. We look for the whys in everything. So everything that he did was because he looked for a way to maximize opportunity. Now, did he lie? Absolutely not. I always say this, no matter what you do in business, you always do it acting like there's a camera on you at all times, watching like a news camera, waiting to pounce on you every single time. How many of you have ever seen to where you can get yourself into a lot of trouble? I had a friend years ago when I worked in Texas. He said he had a buddy went to work at a house, and the girl was a very pretty girl. She started flirting with the guy. He was there to install a water heater. This guy was. She started flirting with him, and he got excited. He's like, man, I'm going to score twice. I'm going to get money, and I'm going to get laid. This was his whole mindset. So she literally got him to take his clothes off and get on the bed. Her husband steps out of the closet with a camera and takes a picture of them and says, now the water heater's free. Now, imagine if that was today, in today's world. I'm 53. So you're talking, that goes back, probably 35 years ago. In today's world, imagine what you would have been on social media. Everybody would have blasted you. You would have been gone your world would have changed. So everything you do be with integrity. You never lie to a client to make money. That's my biggest pet peeve, is you never lie to a client. I work with a client out of Monterey, California. He was telling me the other day he went to a job, and he owns a plumbing and heating and cooling company is what he owns. He went to a job, and they had a toilet that would not flush, that was having a problem, and it's what they call a pressure assist toilet, where they've got a big black bladder inside the tank of the toilet that is pressure assisted. So he says, I had a company come out. They told me that my toilet won't flush because my entire sewer line is bad, so that they were giving them a bid to replace the entire sewer line. He comes in, he looks at it, he goes, your toilet, just the bladder in the tank is bad. That's why your toilet won't flush. Had nothing to do with the sewer line, but they were going to sell that person a whole new sewer line without actually looking for the actual problem. They didn't look to solve it. They just wanted to make money. So now, to me, that's an unethical way of doing business. He said, look, this is what I'm going to do. But while he was there, guess what? He was able to sell them more work and things that they actually needed versus having someone lie to them. So everything you do, you always do ethically, and you always do as if a camera is watching you to make sure you didn't lie to that client. Because guess what? We know what we're good at. Our clients have no idea what it is we're telling them. They have to trust us. And if you lie to them once, you'll never get them back as a client. Remember, the lifetime value of that client is worth its weight in gold. You're always buying their future money by how you treat them today. And you're buying their neighbors' future money, their friends, their families, everybody else's. How you treat that one person today depends on how far your business goes. Remember, we had 23,000 customers we worked in their homes. It was an honor. And I was able to do that in one company, 11,000 in less than 7 years, another company, 12,000 in less than 7 years. That's a lot of people we're doing business with on a regular basis. Now, now that's not just saying how many times we went in there, because a lot of those clients we would go back to 3, 4, 5 times a year. I'm like, you really want us to come back again? They're like, yes, come back again. We want some more stuff done. We want some more stuff done. Or they wanted a remodel, or they wanted this done, or they wanted that done. Everything was always different. But the point is, treat every client like it's the most important thing in your entire life. And I promise you'll never be without work. All right. So maximize. You look for the upsell, you look for the downsell, you look for the cross sell, you look for whatever kind of sell you can get in that thing, your job is to inform them and educate them. You never sell them. You just educate them on what the best solutions are for what they need, what you think they need for their house or for their business or for whatever you're doing business with them for. I had a guy come out to my condo once. They owned a cleaning company. He said, we're going to provide you all the linens. He said, the way we do it, we provide all the linens for you, all the towels, all the rags, everything that you have, we're going to provide for you, all the soap, everything. He said, but this is the caveat to this. He said, if we come back to the condo to clean the condo and one of the rags are gone, we charge you $5 for the rag. If a towel's gone, we charge you $11 for the towel. We charge you this for that. He created a phenomenal system that protected his downside, but also allowed him to make more money. Because remember, every time he's replacing something, he's marking that up so he can make more money off of whatever he had to replace. So what a great way to do business, but he was very upfront about what it was. He didn't like sneak it in there and say, oh, by the way, we're going to do this, or we're going to, it's if you knew as soon as you started with him, this is exactly what he did and how he did it. That was the best part about this guy, his transparency. Now, did I hire the guy? Absolutely not. I wasn't going to hire the guy. I'm not going to spend all that money on this guy. I bought all my own stuff. I bought all my own towels, all my own sheets, and I hired a cleaner who just cleaned them all. But the point is that he looked for ways to maximize every single person he worked with just as a cleaner for condos there at the beach. People paid for him all day long, every day. They paid for his services. They liked it because they didn't have to do anything, and they trusted it that it would work. But because once again, if you can set it up to where it works for you in your favor, but at the end of the day, he knew how to maximize everything he did. So you have to ask yourself, write down a list of everything you can do to maximize your opportunities on every single job. It doesn't matter what business you're in, write it down. How can I maximize more opportunities in this? How can I get more opportunities out of this job? And if I'm not doing it, then ask yourself why. Because the most important and most valuable thing you can do is create opportunities for people to buy more from you. You think of when you walk into the grocery store, where do they keep the milk? Everybody know where they keep the milk? Right, Chad, in the back of the store, right? You know why they keep the milk in the back of the store?
Got to pass everything else.
You have to pass everything else. Milk, bread, eggs, probably the three number one things that are ever bought in a store, ever. But you have to go to the very back of the store just to get milk, bread, and eggs. But why is that? That's because they're maximizing their chances of you spending more money. But guess what? When you get to the register, what do they have at the register? Soda, candy, snacks, chips. Once again, they've learned how psychology works and how we as people work. Those are all our spontaneous buys. Like, ooh, I want that candy bar. I mean, we really do. I mean, but they learn how to maximize everything they do. So every business has opportunities. You just have to find it in your own business and say, how do I make the most of this? And how do I make more out of everything that I'm doing? And Chad, I'm not into property management, Chad, but I know for a fact, Chad, you can probably find 5 or 6 things that you can do right now to maximize more opportunities in every single job. It's just taking the time to sit down and think through everything that you guys do, how you do it, and what works and what doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, it's our job to maximize every single thing that we do. And if we do that, I promise you, it's going to change your business and your revenue is going to grow way higher than you ever thought it could probably grow. But you got to give the client a chance to say yes. Because if you don't, all you've done is cheated yourself and you've cheated them too. All right, we're going to do the last thing here, guys. We have 6 minutes left to go here. Talent. So finding employees. Who has a problem finding employees? Everybody. I mean, it's just like, it is like, where did everybody go? I mean, seriously, where did all the people go in the world? At one point, when I went into business in 2008 during the recession, I remember I could put an ad out and have 30 guys apply for a job. And that went on for a long time. Then all of a sudden when COVID hit, did everybody die? We should don't know that they died. I mean, did everybody just die out? I don't know. But the point is, we lost so many people to whatever we lost, and we don't really know what we lost them to. I mean, I have no idea in the trades. I just don't know. But the point is finding good help is your number one challenge that you're going to have in any business today. So, but I want to share this with I think this is so important, is that you can hire help. I always hire for attitude over skill every single day because I can train skill, but attitude is really hard to train. Now, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you can train skill. Skill is a learnable thing. Attitude is just who they are, in my opinion. I just don't see people, either they're a nice person or they're not nice. Have you ever heard of, so I'm not a drinker, but I know people who drink. All my friends drink. Everybody I know who drinks, but they're like, when someone gets drunk, sometimes they become very violent, it's just, you become who you are. It just becomes expanded. You know what I mean? That's the worst part. So, and I use it just as an analogy because, people understand that one. But the point is who they are is who they are. Their attitude is who they are. And very few times are you going to change that part of who they are. Only they can change themselves. You can give them direction, you can give them help. But when you hire, we always say you hire slow, you fire fast. Either it works or it doesn't work. You can't keep someone around if they suck at their job or if they don't want to be better at their job. Now, we're going to give you 3 things I want you to think about. These are the 3 questions I ask every single time when I hire a new person. Is before I ever fire someone, I ask this question. Is, does the employee know what's expected of them? This is so important. I've seen more people get told to go do something and they have no idea really what's expected and how it's expected to be done. You're just saying, hey, go do that. They're like, okay, I've never done that before. So we had a client the other day. One of my clients, he said one of his guys went out to a job and did a job and he did a really bad job. I said, but did you train him? So the number 2 question is this. Don't ever forget this, is have they been trained to do what's expected of them to a competent level that you're personally satisfied with? Because if they don't know what to do, they don't know what's expected of them and they haven't been trained, whose fault is that? That's your own. That's your fault. There's nobody else's fault but your own. If they don't know their expectations, this is why we use processes and systems. When we have someone do something, we have a process that's written out for that person to be able to do X, Y, Z, exactly how we want it done. Then we make sure they're properly trained to do X, Y, Z, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier. Now, Gary, you know for a fact, someone can blow up a carpet cleaning van just like that if they do it all wrong. If they don't know how to run that machine, they can destroy a house, flood. I've seen people when carpet cleaning companies just soak. They're going to do upholstery. They soak that upholstery. It is like a sopping wet thing. You're like, so making sure your people are trained is equally important. Because what I see is we're looking for new help when we have good help probably already, but we just don't train them to do what they need to do. But remember, we hire for attitude, you train skill. Number 3 is this, are they willing? Are they willing to do the job? So now, if you've done your part, which is I've created very clear expectations for everybody who works for me. They all know exactly what to do. They know exactly what I've asked them to do. The expectations are very clear. Number 2 is this, we've made sure they were trained. Either you're training them, somebody else, or they're already trained to a competent level that you're very happy with, that you can help them be good at their job. Number 3 is this, are they willing? Are they willing to do the job? Now, if you've done 1 and 2 and it becomes a willingness issue at that point, there's nothing else you can do except for get rid of them. Because if they're just not willing, guess what willingness equates to? Attitude. Willingness is always an attitude issue. It's a perspective issue, an attitude issue. If you've created your expectations, you've trained them, then it becomes, well, are you just not willing to do the job? Most people that I see are willing to do the job. They just don't have clear expectations, nor do they have clear training on how to make it better on everything they do. So we can find talent. Now, when I say find talent, I'm talking the quickest way to find talent is to steal talent. You look at almost every company who grows today, the majority of businesses who actually grew, grow today with people, they grow through acquisitions because they're buying somebody else. They're buying somebody else's employees. They're buying somebody else's employees. The quickest way for you to grow is to find somebody else who's already working in whatever field you're working in and just steal them from somebody else's company. Ethical, unethical? No, it's neither nor. It is just what it is. If you give them a better opportunity, that's the quickest way to get them, is to find somebody else who's already doing it, who's maybe just dissatisfied. Maybe they're unhappy. But also, if they're unhappy, you better ask why. Why are you unhappy? Because it could be an attitude issue on their part. They just don't want to do it. I had a guy one time who worked for me. No matter what he did, he didn't want to work more than 7 hours a day. He didn't want to work. You're like, wait a minute, it's 3 o'clock, but we don't end till 4:30. And well, I'm done. I'm just going to go home. No matter what I did. Now, guess what? Where he works now, guess what the same owner tells me? He has the exact same thing he does to this other owner. He says, but you know what? It's just sad because it's a willingness issue. Willingness is attitude, is all that is. Make the most of what you already have, because if you're not making the most of what you already have, all you've done is cheated yourself. You cheated that person, because people typically want to be great at what they do and they want to find opportunity and they want to be challenged. Give them the chance to be good at what they do by making sure you create clear expectations and you train them. All right, guys. So this is all we're going to talk about today. I can talk about this for hours and hours and hours and hours, but we're not doing that today. So we're just going to do just a quick recap. We talked about lead generation, maximizing profits on every single job, and hiring the right talent. Those are the 3 primary things. This call has been recorded, and I'm going to send everybody a link to this call that was on the call. And I'm also going to send you guys also some additional things that I think would help your businesses grow as far as being able to post your business on certain directories. All these things are going to make your business better. I'm not trying to sell you nothing today. Everything I did today was just because I want to help you grow your business. Today is all about growth, but also get you to realize that you can probably do way more than you ever thought you could do. You could go way further than you ever thought you could go. What we do for clients, and I can't not tell you this, what we do for clients is this. We put clients on accelerated programs. That's a 30-day accelerated program. We put clients on a mastermind group. That's a year-long mastermind group. We have another group coming up for starting of January where it's a mastermind group as well. It's where we meet once a week. So everything we do is built around helping clients grow their business. We help them create processes, systems, everything they want to do in their business. We teach them how to do these things for their own businesses. This is how I help clients every single day. So guys, I want to tell each one of you, thank you so much for being here. And then now we'll just open it up to any questions that any of you guys have. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Let's just talk, because I may not have an answer, but Gary might have an answer. Chad might have an answer. Justin might have an answer. Rio might have an answer. We don't know who's going to have the right answer, but at the end of the day, it's our job to at least ask questions. And if you don't know, at least ask. All right, so Gary, we'll just start with you. We're just going to start with you, Gary. Gary, you have any questions at all?
You said you had I can understand everything you're saying. I do a lot of it, not all of it. Like emails, I haven't done that yet. I have like a text blast that goes out quite often to my customers. Would you go with an email blast too?
Oh, dude, if you could do text, I'd go with text. Text gets read way more than email, in my opinion. I mean, I think text is way better than email just because you're talking somebody's language. That's their typical language every single day. They're attached to their phone. And text, they're going to see a text. But also, you can send an email as well. You can send both. I'm all about let's hit them as many ways as we possibly can.
Now, on a text, how often would you text clients?
Well, it depends. So I'm going at least once a month. At least once a month. If they're existing clients, I'm texting them once a month. Now, those texts could be tips on how to make their business, how to make their property better. You're always looking for ways, how can you provide value? And you're not just trying to sell on a text. You're providing tips. So something we started doing this week is we're giving people to use weird holidays. Weird holidays. Like there's a holiday called Squirrel Day. I didn't know there was a day called Squirrel Day. I had never heard of these. I have a list of 365 different holidays that are unofficial holidays. Remember this, what's different is what gets noticed, and what's different gets read, it gets paid attention to. So you think of Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is one of the most outlandish, crazy women I've ever seen as far as music. I'm not a musiker, but I love her because if you look at what she's done, she was so different. So therefore she got noticed so fast. Every person who was different, even you look at Queen, why was Queen so successful? Because he was so different in everything that he did. Every artist who was great, they were different from everybody else. And that was made the difference. So when you think of doing a text or an email, send us something fun. Like Squirrel Day. Did you know that the small squirrels are only 3 inches long? I would have never known that, dude. I didn't know there was all this history about squirrels. I didn't know that the largest squirrel is 2.5 feet long. I didn't know these things, but it was really cool to learn these things because the whole idea is you give them something to read that's fun, silly, and they're like, Squirrel Day, what the heck Squirrel Day? It creates confusion in their mind, and that's the whole point is it makes them stop to read it and to look at it. So, but the tips are great. I would do once a month. How to keep your carpet clean, how to keep your carpet cleaner, how to apply this, how to do this. Think of everything that you could do that you could provide a tip for to make their life. Your number one goal is because, Gary, people don't want to do their own work. People don't want to clean their own carpet. They don't want to clean their own floors. They don't want to do any of this stuff. I know that for a fact. I want my wife to do it. I don't want to do it. That's what she's for. Yeah. Don't tell her I said that. She'll slap me. But that's the point. We as humans, we want to do as little as possible because we worked all day long. We don't want to do those things. We always want someone else to do it. So I would do it at least once a month. And your goal is to stay in front of them. You're not being spammy. But you're providing a solution. You're providing tips, and you're providing something fun to read. And I'll send you guys everybody that link too. There's 2 different links. One's just weird holidays, and I mean when I say weird, some of them are some weird holidays. And we'll just leave it at that, and you can look at them yourself. I won't put it out here because there's some weird holidays. But yes, I would do that 100%. Okay. It's your job, Gary, is to touch them as many ways as you possibly can. Your job is to figure out how they like to communicate.
Okay.
Cool. Chad, what about you? Do you have any questions?
No, not anything specific. It's just the marketing in our side of things is so tough because I don't speak marketing language. That's not my gift. And trying to hire people in our area, not many people are marketers for property management and short-term rentals. They're advertising agencies as a whole, so we really struggle with that. And Brandy kind of went through a lot of what you're talking about hiring people. As we're expanding, we have now our cleaners and stuff like that. Like me and Paul take care of the maintenance stuff and all that, but Brandy takes care of all the cleaners. And she put out several things about looking for cleaners and had tons of responses, but actually people who were willing to show up, who were willing to do the job. She spent a whole week, probably went through 50, 60 people at a minimum. It can come down to like 2, 3 people that we actually hired. So
something I do, Chad, that I've done for years, and I've seen this really successful in other big companies is if I can interview 10 people at one time, I'm going to interview 10 people at one time. I'm going to put everybody in a room at one time. It creates a competitive nature, but also I get to see attitudes, personality, everybody at one time in a room, how they interact with other people. What do they like? Are they competitive? Are they not competitive? And one of the best things I've ever seen people do is that when they were in these kind of interviews, they loved it more than just a one-on-one. Because now they're competing for a job. In their mind, they're like, well, I'm competing for this job, but you're also looking for attitudes and personalities. Because you think Brandy spent a whole week. What if you could have had 20 people in the same interview? You just get a room at your condo, you give everybody and you interview everybody at one time. You're asking questions, and we made them do role play. We always made people do role play in these interviews. It was so much fun to watch people get uncomfortable and get scared and get nervous because I wanted to see, what do you really like as a person? How are you around other people? Are you respectful? Are you rude? Are you ignorant? I want to see how, like I said, we're looking for attitude. We're hiring for attitude. We can train skills.
mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. But yeah, that's kind of where our struggles are. And it's just the marketing side. It's trying to keep up with running the business and doing that. Those are kind of our biggest struggles. But
I'm going to hook you up with a guy, Chad, that I think can help you in your marketing aspect of it. The guy he's brilliant. He's a brilliant guy. I mean, he's brilliant when it comes to marketing. I'm going to at least get you guys in touch where you guys can talk, and he can share with you what he can do for your business marketing wise for national. Because, dude, I mean, you're going to figure out, okay, well, where are most of your clients coming from? Are they coming from Alabama? Are they coming from Texas? Are they coming from here? Coming from there?
Our target is anywhere from pre-COVID pre-COVID it was 4 to 8 hours away from Panama City. Post-COVID and COVID, that moved to around 12 to 13 hours. We were seeing a lot of people. Now we're back to that 8-hour range. We actually get a lot of people from St. Louis area. That's kind of our reach. St. Louis, up into Kentucky. We still get a few from Illinois, but most of our stuff is the tri-state area around here: Alabama, Georgia, Florida, maybe Tennessee. We actually get a lot of people from Florida, which is real odd.
I know, isn't that crazy? I'm like, you already live in Florida, but you're going to go to the beach in Florida. You already live there.
Yep. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we know where we collect data on every client. Our property management system gets addresses and emails and phone numbers for every client. Every guest that stays, so we know where everybody's coming from. It's just a matter, and we focus real heavy around higher income areas. Nashville is one of the big markets we focus a lot of advertising in, just for the higher aspect. About 100-mile range of there. And even towards the St. Louis area, in that area, since we get so many guests, but we really get a kind of surprising how many people we get from that area.
Oh, 100%, dude. Yeah, 100%. But I'll send you a guy. His name's Roger. I'll send Roger your information, and I'll get you guys connected. Just do a one-on-one with him. Just talk to the guy. He's good at what he does when it comes to marketing, because most of his marketing is all on social media. He's going to market on social media. He can market other ways, but a lot of what you do is going to be on social media too.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool.
But he's got a great platform that he uses. You can track it down to the freaking penny if you spend money on marketing, which is even better.
Yeah, and that's another thing is, like you talked about, spending a lot or spending a little, and these people, man, they try to trap you into spending. Next thing you know, you're spending tens of thousands of dollars, and no real value for it. It's real tricky.
No, and then that's not what Roger does. He says when he starts a marketing program, he says we're going to start out $25 a day. We're going to test it. We may run 10 ads, but we're going to start at $25 a day for all 10 ads. That's it, just $25. We're going to see which ad grabs people's attention. We're going to figure out what works, what headline doesn't work. He's good at what he does. I've seen him help build business to $100 million a year. This kid, he's a 23-year-old kid. He's just good at what he does. Like, I'm good at what I do. Gary's good at what he does. Justin's good at what he does. You're good at what you do. But this dude, he is really good at what he does. That's why I love
Sounds
him.
good. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll make sure I send them to you. I will. Justin, do you have any questions? You're on mute, Justin.
Yep,
Nobody
you're
can
on
hear you,
mute.
buddy. All right, Jeremy, we'll move over to you. Justin's still on mute. He hasn't figured out how to hit the mute button, unmute button. I can't unmute you.
All right, I got it this
There you
time.
go, Justin. There you go. Oh, what kind of questions you got, Justin?
I really don't have any questions. I still got praises. I mean, you gave us so much to implement that we're still working on all the things that you gave us, and they're starting to come to fruition. And I don't know, until we get past this point,
Wait a
then
minute.
maybe
Wait a
I'll
minute.
have some questions.
Who won the $100?
I got a call, but I got a lead, but I didn't get a job yet. It's yesterday.
Not yet,
Uh-huh.
but he did get a lead yesterday from it.
Don't forget it. Don't forget it. All right.
That's all
All right,
right.
Jeremy, what about you? Any questions for you, Jeremy?
I just want to say we wish we could really be there at that 4 o'clock slot that you've been sending us to, but
I'm starting
just such
another
a
one
rough
that's going to be, I'm
start.
starting an
Wrapping up.
early one. I'm starting an early one here coming at the start of the year to where we have an early one and a 4 o'clock one.
that would help out tremendous. It's too hard. I'm driving at that time and
Right. And I figured that was because I have other people, they can't do the later one. They can do early, but they can't do late. So we're starting an early one that's like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And there. Yeah,
All right. Very cool.
absolutely.
Rio, are you there, buddy? You have any questions?
Yeah, I'm here as well, man. First off, I want to say thank you, man. Awesome information, man. I really appreciate what you're sharing with us, man. Dropped a lot of gold, diamonds. I'm telling you, I think I'm in the same boat with like Chad. For me, it's the marketing. So I'd probably need to talk to Roger as well. I've done some. I run a childcare business, and so I've been on Facebook running ads and paying for ads and everything like that. But I don't think my conversion and everything based on what I'm paying is off.
Right.
So more so having someone skilled. I can guarantee I'm mucking something up right about it with. So someone who is more in tune with like you were saying, Roger, it would be a great benefit.
Dude, 100%. I'll get you connected with Roger as well. And the biggest thing, guys, is this: is you don't know what you know until you know more, and just utilize people because they're great tools to make your lives better. Because look, I don't run my own marketing. I always have someone else run my own marketing because I know what I'm good at, and I let them do what they're good at. So that's the number one thing is when you find someone who's not going to rip you off, that's my number one thing. If they're going to rip you off, I'll tell them to go to hell. I won't waste a second of my time with someone who's going to rip you off. And I would never refer anybody to any person that I've worked with or talked to if I thought they were going to lie to you or steal from you. So
Well, one thing I can thank you about too, Eric, is everybody that you referred us to has been very awesome and a great addition to our team.
well, dude, I'm glad. Well, guys, I know I don't want to keep this going because I can keep talking for hours. Justin, Jeremy, you know me, I can keep talking, so I'll just shut up. But guys, I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. We appreciate it so much. I'll send this recording out to every single one of you. It'll take just a little while for it to upload to the system. It's just going to be a link where you can click the link any given time you want to. And then Chad, I'll get you connected with Roger. I'll get you connected Rio with Roger as well. And every business can be great. It's just a matter of doing it. Implement. Do the things that cost you no money first, and then we focus on the other thing. But we'll never get you guys the right people and help you guys to grow your businesses. Thank you guys all so much. I wish all of you
Thanks,
the very
Eric.
best.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Eric.
that.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.